Strong looks different for each of us, and it's time to put focus on our unique journeys that get us there. This space created weekly is for athletes to improve their mindset in order to better navigate challenges that come up in sport and in different seasons of life. On this show, we ask the questions that lead to better answers and have the conversations that truly matter. This is the Becoming Your Strong podcast. Hey, you guys, welcome back to another episode of the Becoming Your Strong podcast. You have me solo today for an episode, but for an episode that I feel like is going to resonate with a lot because I had a pretty awesome / tough conversation with one of my favorite humans in the world. And I think that a lot of the questions that this person asked and how they're feeling might be how some of you are feeling and trying to navigate life right now. It was a big weekend. We had DecaFit Chicago happening. I had tons of underdogs. I had some of my athletes that were out there. We had the Deca Strong at Pursuit this weekend. Had a lot of my athletes compete there as well too. And there was just a mixture of things. There were so many highs and lows and just learning lessons, just moments of realization that I really want to just pick apart this conversation and some of the questions again that this person asked. And I honestly want to just give that shout out to this individual for the Becoming Your Strong moment of the week. It is really hard to come to your coach and being like, hey, I feel not only disappointed in myself, but I feel like I've disappointed you. And that takes a lot. It takes a lot of courage to really be honest and genuine about how you're feeling and to just say, hey, like, I don't know what to do and I need help. Going and asking for help is so freaking tough. We want to feel like we have it all together, but the reality of it is that we don't have to have it all together. We don't have to do it all alone. So I'm just really proud of this individual for coming to me not only as a friend, but again, as one of my athletes and just being like, look, this is where I'm at. This is how I'm feeling. Can you help? Like, help me. I'm just stuck. So I wanted to take this episode to dedicate it to that conversation of just things that this individual brought up and the questions that they asked. And not only how did I go about answering them, but just my thoughts and reflections now, like having it simmer for the last 24 hours. Just how would I go about this myself? How would I continue to direct my athletes that work with me through these types of conversations and life situations? So these are real life questions from athletes just like y'all. And my perspective, they're not necessarily right or wrong or the perfect solution, but this is how I would handle them. So the first thing, and let's just set the context here, is this individual has been traveling a lot. Like a lot. Like there's been a wedding or a bachelor party or a work trip. Like there's been a lot of things going on in this person's life on top of just normal like work stress and projects going on there that have been shifted and flipped and just being a human being while trying to like be married to someone, right? Like there's just a lot of stuff that this person is handling from a day-to-day basis that I'm not sure that this person gives themselves enough credit for. And so essentially the question was, hey, I know that you have me on a deload week after a competition. Because typically what I will do is I try to give people something a little bit easier, especially if it was a big weekend where they did a ton of volume. And the question was like, hey, I feel like I haven't really been able to dial in my training a lot because I have been taking some lighter weeks just due to the travel and hoping that this would sort of give me a little bit of an off season and recharge before I go and take on some of these bigger qualifying races. But like right now, I feel like taking the deload is hurting me more than it might be helping me. So do I deload or do I actually like continue to chug along and start to find that intensity again so that I can build my fitness back up? And this is a really good question. And quite honestly, I think that it depends. I really think that it does. And so in this moment, I didn't have the exact, I wouldn't even say I won't ever have the perfect answer for this individual, but it was tough for me to answer this because it quite honestly could go either way. But here's what I've come to know just from my personal experience of not just working with other athletes, but working with myself and knowing what I'm currently going through is that the body doesn't know the difference between strain that's happening while you're working out and strain that's happening in your personal life. All it knows is just stress is stress. And so if you are constantly on the go, constantly making decisions, going from one thing to the other, feeling like you're super busy, and then also trying to put in this really like intense training block or very like high voluminous training block, your body is taking on more strain than you probably realize. And then pair that with maybe your recovery protocols, the lack thereof, the sleep, the nutrition. And a lot of that could shake out to your body's just actually freaking tired. And my gut reaction to this is like, I really do think that this individual is being stretched really thin in their life. And that I do think that the deload is a smarter option of just taking an easier week. But I think the beautiful thing about the deload is if you get into it and you notice that like on a specific day that your body is thriving, well, then maybe add an extra 5, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever so of volume. Maybe do an extra set of a lift because you're in that space and you're feeling good. There's also the part of it of just like freaking enjoying it, right? Like not thinking too much about like, am I going to go overboard or is this too much? Guys, we do this because we love it. And sometimes we have to go back and remember that we just need to find that love again. And so those are kind of my overall thoughts on this is, you know, going into this upcoming week, like let's say you're in the exact same situation. You're like, do I hop back in or do I deload? Again, my gut feeling is to take that moment to recharge the batteries. But as you're recharging the batteries, if you notice during a certain session that you're feeling really good and you want to maximize on it, don't be afraid to do that, right? Don't be afraid to maybe add a little bit of extra volume or say, okay, for a set, I'm going to give it a little bit more intensity or go a little bit heavier. I by no means think that that's going to kill you at all. Now, moving forward from that, I think that I would just be really, really intentional about what days I'm going to pursue intensity and what days I am trying to just chill and build a base and just maybe even just like keep maintenance under control. Like, I think you got to really take a look at if you feel like you're not performing in the way that you want to and your body is taking a massive crap on you, you got to listen to it a little bit. And you also have to go into it with a plan. And so maybe you're used to doing intensity 2, 3, God forbid, I hope that it's not 4 times a week, but maybe you scale that back and you're like, okay, for right now, 1 time a week, I'm going to be very, very intentional about getting that specific intensity-based day that's going to help me move the needle. And the rest of the days is about managing my efforts, building a base, being at that lower intensity, really focusing on my recovery protocols, things of that sort, right? And as you go, you adapt, you adjust the volume, you adjust the intensity. It's you listening to you at the end of the day. I love being a coach. I love getting guidance or giving that guidance, but you, at the end of the day, especially if you're being coached, you have to go internal and you have to listen to what your body is telling you. But there's that fine line as well too. There's am I doing this because I've been able to do it once before and it's a part of my ego that I should be doing this much or I should be doing more? Or is it that I'm actually feeling good, like I'm feeling myself and I'm enjoying what I'm doing and I'm having fun and I want to give myself the freedom to go out there and maximize on it? That's the difference in my eyes. And so if you find yourself again falling into the opposite where it's like that ego feeling guilty, it might not be meant for you. And that's okay. Give yourself the grace that you don't have to do all the things and check all the boxes, especially every single time throughout the season, right? Like we can't run at this red line for the entire season. We have to have these moment of lulls where we don't hit our fastest time and where our body's not performing. Ideally, we're managing those efforts better, but my point is we got to get better at listening to ourselves. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is this individual mentioned that they're really struggling to go to that place. And I put that place in quotations because what this person is talking about is like going to the well or going to that place, that tough place, and being able to shift the gear of instead of quitting, like they're moving full steam ahead and they're pushing for that extra mile. And trust me, I'm still trying to figure out the magic answer to this, because I've also found that over the last year or so that I really struggle to go to that place, especially like in my training, where it's easy to be like, you know what, this doesn't feel good and I kind of don't want to. And so therefore I'm going to back off. That is something that I am personally also in a journey trying to navigate and figure out what that looks like for me. And of course, I do think that exposure does help, and you get that exposure when you put yourself in those situations more often than not. So having, again, those very intentional training sessions on your calendar where you're like, hey, the goal here is to go to that place, quote unquote, like being really intentional about what those are. Now, again, when I say exposure, I'm not saying increase the exposure by 10x. I'm saying if you're not even doing that once a week, okay, then make that a once a week thing. Do that at the very, very beginning of your week before anything else has the chance to get crazy. And not only will you feel accomplished, but hopefully because you spent, maybe Sunday taking a rest day or having a little bit more of a restorative weekend, hopefully your body is actually primed to go to that place, right? And allow for you to really succeed. So I do think that part of this is an exposure game. The other part of it is now once you're in that exposure is what are your thoughts and expectations when you're doing those harder training sessions? Like, are you asking yourself to hit certain paces to feel like you're thriving? Like, is there something that you are holding yourself to? And if you are not meeting those, all of a sudden you're starting to doubt your fitness and how successful you will be in the future. Because trust me, I've done that. I actually do that quite often. And it's gotten to the point where I've had to almost cover up the monitors, especially if it's an erg-based session, or not even look at the pace on my watch, because I want to be in my own body and in my own head and not worry about like, oh, well, this person will be doing this and that, and so I have to keep up. Like, nah, dude, that's a recipe for disaster, and that's a way that your joy is going to get immediately snatched from you. So remove the expectations, remove the numbers, remove the paces, all of those things, and instead ask yourself, how long can I hold on for? That is the only goal I'm asking myself, is how long can I hold on for? I'm in that moment. I'm in that place where I'm like heading towards the well. How long can I hold on for? And it does not matter how slow I move, how many steps I end up taking, what my paces are, how far I get. It's just the matter of the fact that I kept going. I feel like crap. Okay, how much longer can I spend in this space? Can I spend maybe like 30 seconds here, right? Okay, I made it to 30 seconds. What about like 5 more seconds, right? Can I go just one more? Ask yourself those questions versus comparing yourself to a previous version of yourself, or comparing yourself to others and their paces and their performance and their expectations. Because how freaking overwhelming does that get? So this is something that I've been trying. And for me, that question, it brings like a fun challenge, right? It puts me in a different headspace and a different state to actually want to perform for myself versus like the very limiting, doubtful, somewhat hateful towards myself of like, oh, you're just not doing it. Like, what in the world? Okay. So if you're struggling to go to that place, that's the advice that I would give you, is start asking yourself better questions to get better answers and just remove those expectations. The third and final thing that came up in this conversation, so we are now, middle of July, and DECA 2026 World Championships qualifying season ends in the middle of September. So we have roughly 2 months. Actually, from today, from when I'm recording it on Monday the 13th, we have 2 months exactly to get in the final qualifying times. And me and this individual, we have some races like lined up together that, it's go time. It's time to put the pedal to the metal so that we can qualify and go to Worlds and do what we need to do. But at the end of the day, like, this person knows that this is ahead and they're not feeling ready. They're not feeling ready for themselves and their own individual races, and they're feeling like they're going to let their partner down. And that's a lot of pressure to take on, right? And so what do you do in those moments where you're not feeling ready, but these races are going to be here like before you know it? Like, how do you make yourself feel more ready? Like, what do you do preparation-wise, physically, mentally, emotionally? And again, I think that it really depends on the person and the situation, but taking all things out of it, like, and when I say taking all things out of it, I'm saying like proper fueling and recovery protocols and the type of training, like all the physical, logistical type of things, take all of that to the side for a second. I truly believe that you will finally start to feel ready again when you find the version of yourself that's just so freaking grateful to be in the room. And the person that's just excited to go head to head with the best of the best. The person that's just excited to see how far they can hold on for, or how far they can go. Because it's fun, right? Because that's just what they enjoy. When you step into that version of yourself and not the version of yourself that's ridden by pressures all around the room, like, you perform in a different way. You show up in a different way. And I honestly believe that when you show up in that way of like, wow, I'm just like so freaking excited to be there, that's where you crack the code. One of my favorite things that I love the most about this individual, and I'm so blessed to be in the room with this person, is that I remember at World Championships last year that this person was just like, oh my God, like, I'm so excited. And I'm like, wow, like, you're not nervous? She goes, well, like, yeah, but I'm mostly like, I'm just so excited to be here and to do this again because it's just so much fun. And like all of like the crazy battles that are going to happen, like, yeah, I'm going to be a part of some of them, and it's nerve-wracking, but like, I'm just so freaking pumped because this weekend just like fills my cup so much. That is the person that's going to thrive. That is the person that is going to do absolutely amazing things. And guess what? That person did. That person sure as shit did. So instead of thinking about what additional volume or just things that you need to put on your plate in order to succeed, maybe you need to ask yourself, what do I need to take off my plate? What thoughts, expectations, activities, duties, responsibilities, like what are all these things that are on my plate right now? What could I actually take off of them to allow for that best version of myself that's just excited to be in the room? What can I take off my plate in order to have that person show up? And I almost guarantee that if you can do that activity, the right person's going to show up to the starting line when it matters. Thank you guys so much for showing up for you today. I hope that this episode helped in some way, shape, or form. Feel free to share this with someone that maybe you've had conversations like this with recently and they just need to hear this message. And if you haven't already, be sure to rate and review the podcast so that this message can get out to more folks that need to hear it as well. Alrighty, guys, I hope you all have an amazing week. Please reach out if you have any questions or things that you need perspective on, and I'll see you guys next week for another episode of Becoming Your Strong. See you then.